Anytime these two teams have met up as of late, the Buckeyes have controlled the Irish. Will it happen again? Let's preview Notre Dame, Ohio State. Before we get into the Ohio State Notre Dame preview, just a reminder, hit subscribe, ring the bell to stay notified. If you are a fan of the B1G, this is the place to be. All right, this is the big one of the weekend. Saturday night, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Everybody knows about the all-everything offense that Ohio State has. I think there aren't a lot of question marks. The question marks are mostly on defense. As it pertains to the offense for Ohio State, they don't have a lot of question marks. You know what you're going to get, and you're going to get one of the best offenses that we've seen in recent memory. I think a lot of questions coming into this game are on the team that wears blue and gold. New head coach, first-year Marcus Freeman. Tyler Buchner, first sophomore quarterback, starting there for the very first time. Played last year, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in spot, dual threat type of guy. So it's fine that you have question marks. Coach, quarterback, a few other places. But if I'm a coach and I want to figure these things out, I'm not sure if I want to go to the Horseshoe, Columbus, Ohio at night, 100,000 fans against maybe a generational Ohio State team to figure it out right away, week 1 out of the gate. That's a tough ask for anybody, okay? Notre Dame has a solid team. I don't think they have a great team, these playoff caliber teams that they've had under Brian Kelly. There's going to be some growing pains in a transition. It's going to make it a lot easier when you bring back some of your good assistant coaches like Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. So let's talk about it. In years past, Notre Dame has had really good offensive line. I don't think this offensive line is on the level as some of those, remember Mike McGlinchey and a few of those other guys that kind of came out and now are consistent starters in the NFL. I'm not sure that this offensive line is up to that level. I think the Ohio State defensive line has more talent up front than Notre Dame. There's going to be a lot of guys that are going to rotate through and really pressure the passer. That's the key, right? I'm at home. I already know the crowd is going to be a big advantage. You got a young quarterback out there who's making his first start. I want to pressure him. I want to rattle him right away and get in his face. New defensive coordinator Jim Knowles set the tone early. You let Notre Dame get into a rhythm, they might be able to keep this game for a few quarters. If I'm Ohio State, I've got to find a way to neutralize Michael Mayer. He's probably the best tight end in all of college football. He's been that maybe for a couple of years now. You know, who do I match up? Do I do safety? Do I do a linebacker? You know, he's got more size than a safety. He's got more speed than a linebacker. If I can contain what happens with Michael Mayer, I believe I've got a really good chance in this football game. You know, Notre Dame lost one of their key wide receivers to an injury. You know, you take a look at Avery Davis, you know, coming in. They're going to expect Jaden Thomas, the sophomore, to really step up. You know, with Denzel Burke back there and Tanner McAllister back there, I like what Ohio State has matchup-wise in the secondary against Notre Dame. I just think Notre Dame's going to be overwhelmed. I really believe they're going to be overwhelmed in this game. I think it's going to take them a couple of games to really get into the swing of things. Once we get to the middle of the season, maybe they can contend with someone like Clemson that comes up a little bit later on their schedule. But right now, that's a big ask going to the Horseshoe and taking on Ohio State. When I look at this from the Buckeyes' point of view, on the offensive side of the ball, right? They lose Kyle Hamilton at safety, but you bring in Brandon Joseph, who's also very good in the secondary. I want to attack the other parts. Don't let Brandon Joseph dictate what you're going to do on offense. Attack him. You know, and I want to run the ball as well. I think there's so much balance on this team for Ohio State. You can go in so many different directions. Notre Dame doesn't have the matchups. They can't match up with the talent on the perimeter that Ohio State has right now. It's just, Notre Dame is solid in a lot of places. Don't get me wrong, but Ohio State is way more talented in those places. You know, Ohio State's just on a completely different level than Notre Dame in a lot of those places, okay? I don't think this one's going to get way out of hand like the Michigan State game a year ago. Maybe Notre Dame hangs around for a while, but the home field advantage and just the sheer talent is eventually going to win out for the Ohio State Buckeyes in this game. Here's something to keep in mind. Jim Knowles was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State last year. You saw it on the graphic that was up earlier in this video, right? And Notre Dame played Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl last year. Notre Dame threw for 509 yards against the Cowboys. Cowboys threw for 371 yards against Notre Dame. So I think both passing it, if that's something, you know, I'm sure there's more talent on this Ohio State defense than the Oklahoma State defense. But if that's something to keep in mind, we could see both teams want to pitch it around the yard quite a bit. We know we're going to get that out of Ohio State. Easy for me to say. Will we get it from a brand new quarterback at Notre Dame? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who's taking it home? Is it going to be Notre Dame? Is it going to be Ohio State? I think Ohio State has the horses to run away with this one. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Subscribe to Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.